Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt, and you might know me from my TV show, Team Chicago Challenge, the motorcycle racing show. But I'm also putting stuff up on YouTube, and I'm also going to be putting stuff up on Rumble. So on YouTube, you search with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing or Dan Schmitt Politics, and on Rumble, it's going to be Dan Schmitt TV. So I'm on the north side of Chicago, northwest side of Chicago, at the Republican Northwest Side Club headquarters, and you see they even have a great idea of raising money. So if you want to get involved, you can go to their website, which I think is Northwest Side GOP, and Law and Order PAC also. But anyhow, there is enthusiasm going on in Chicagoland. This morning I was out in Wheeling and had the opportunity to listen to a few of the candidates. I'm going to show you little clips of their speeches. A great number of people showed up at this meeting in Wheeling Township. And I haven't seen enthusiasm like this since the days of Ronald Reagan. I mean, we're going back to 1988, 89. The Republicans were very well organized, and I'm feeling that same enthusiasm now. So I think this is going to be a big year for Republican candidates. And let's hear what a few of these candidates have to say, because what the Republicans stand for is freedom and responsibility. They stand for family. Parents should be involved with their school children, what's being taught in schools, and the Constitution of the United States. I mean, this is what makes America great. I can't stress this enough, that what makes America great is the freedom thing. The freedom to own property, the freedom to own business, to start a business, to have a great job, to have a great banking system. And that is the problem we're having, facing in this country right now. We got this, I don't want to say anything too derogatory, but the President of the United States right now, Joe Biden, is probably, not even probably, is without a doubt the worst president ever elected in the United States. This is the first president that is working continuously against the American people. So let's see what the Republicans are doing here on the northwest side of Chicago, the northwest side of Chicagoland, and we're going to look forward to big success come November. And remember my email, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. If you're seeing this, I'd love to hear from your comments.
At the Northwest Side GOP Club's headquarters, they have set up tables and they have invited local Republicans to come in and sign petitions for local and statewide candidates so that they can get on the ballot. You need to have petitions signed, a certain number depending on the office, and that's how a candidate gets on the ballot. In 2022, the election is for governor and other statewide offices like Secretary of State, congressmen, state reps, and all state senators are all up for election. Plus, county board members are up for election too. This is a great way for Republicans to show their support. And earlier today, and today is February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, the first Republican president, I traveled to Arlington Heights for the Wheeling Township Republicans. And we're going to hear from two candidates, Dan Brady, who's running for Secretary of State, and Darren Bailey, who's running for governor. My good friend, Dan Patlak, is going to introduce these two candidates.
He's been voting for common sense and for Republican values. He's come up to join us today to present us with some of his ideas about running for Secretary of State. And I want to call up Dan Brady. And Dan, by the way, I have for you 220 signatures.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you again, and a special thanks to all of you for being here this morning, because this room is full, it's fantastic, it's outstanding, it's a testimony to what all of you are doing. Because you're tired, fed up, you want to see some changes. And the only way it's going to happen is mornings like this. And you, ladies and gentlemen, want to be a heck of a lot easier to be back home having your coffee on a cold Saturday morning. You're here, engaged, and you're ready to make change. So give yourself a round of applause for that. I'm Dan Brady. I'm state representative right now in the 105th District, which is the Bloomington-Romo area. I'm Deputy Republican Leader in the House, and I've been in the House since 2001. Served with Darren Bailey when he was in the House, before he went over to the Senate, and enjoyed our time together, trying to make change. A lot of uphill sledding. But I encourage those that are getting into the state reps race to continue to do what they're doing. Why make a change to Secretary of State? If you're state representative, the easiest thing would have been running your new district, Dan, because it's a pretty darn good district. But every once in a while in life, you've got to make those decisions when you come to that fork in the road. I've aspired to the Secretary of State's office for a number of years. My background lends to the Secretary of State's office. I'll talk about that briefly in just a minute. But with that, you have to make those decisions. And I made that decision. And every time I thought I was going to go this way, there's a gentleman named Secretary White, who I've worked with over the years, in legislation dealing with organ and tissue donation, first person consent, which is very near and dear to me as a former county coroner, legislation dealing with seniors and traffic issues, insurance, and the list goes on. But this time, the Secretary is retiring. And so not only is it an opportunity from a political standpoint, but the office has gone way too long without direction and leadership. True leadership of someone whose picture is just not there on the wall, but someone in the facilities greeting the people, you ladies and gentlemen, who are the taxpayers, the citizens of Illinois, the ones that are supposed to get the services, and we need to increase that and do a much, much, much better job. This office isn't about public policy. I've done public policy for a long time. This office is about public service in a way of service to the people, you the taxpayers. Lots of ways. If you go to votedanbrady.com, you'll see what I'm talking about, what my ideas and my changes are. For a better office, for an office that is more expedient. But one of those areas that I've been exploring, and I want to talk about just briefly, people, everybody's got their stories. Mostly not good stories about the Secretary of State's office and how long it took to do something. But the Secretary of State's office affects more Illinoisans' lives than any other executive branch office in the state of Illinois. Think about that. And yes, everybody thinks driver's license. That's the biggie. But chief record keeper of the documents of the state of Illinois has its own police force in charge of Capitol security. Road investigators go up and down the road of the state of Illinois. The chief librarian of the state has the grant dollars in which in a budget to put into local libraries who have kind of forgotten what mom and dad are supposed to be doing and having a say in of things that are in our libraries. That needs to change across the state of Illinois. The Secretary of State's office can do that. The next area is if I get into office, when I get into office, stay positive, Dan, is we've got to have an entire forensic audit of the entire office. It's close to 4,000 employees in the Secretary of State's office, and you're still waiting in lines. We can change that, ladies and gentlemen, and I will with your help. But we're going to start with making sure the books show us what truly is going on. $474 million roughly passed through there, not even talking about the grants and federal money that passes through. That's a lot of your taxpayer dollars, and I don't think you're getting what you should in the way of services from the Secretary of State's office. One other brief little area to talk about, how are you going to make the change that needs to be done in technology? How are you going to do the increased services? What are you going to do about efficiency? What are you going to do about cross-training with employees? How are you going to do all this? And it's easy to point to all the negatives. Let's talk about a positive. We have 39 community college districts throughout the state of Illinois. What do they have? Most of them all have space they'd like to rent. Most of them all have investment in technology, Wi-Fi, all the things need to be upgraded in the Secretary of State's office operation. And it's there provided by taxpayers right now. And the other thing it has is public transit to those facilities. Some of them even teach with mobile services right now. Let's move some of the facilities people can't find. Leases we have no idea what we're paying for. We're certainly not getting our money's worth. And let's take it to something that's provided by taxpayers already that's efficient, effective, and is an area in which our seniors especially can be mobile in the area and have the services that they deserve. We can talk about things with distracted driving. I'm very passionate about that. I hope that there's never a time I have to go back in the middle of the night and tell a mother and father their son or daughter's not coming home because they were distracted driving and what happened. Or anybody, as far as that case goes. We can do a lot more when it comes to teen driving. The curriculum, we can start teaching our kids in the schools, public, private, or even the commercial driving schools, what a 2,000-pound vehicle does, how it reacts, what you need to be aware of. Not about a driver's test that's going to take you out back in the alley, back up, turn left, whatever, and we pulled somebody off the desk for 40 minutes to do that. Makes no sense. After they just passed a 30-hour course. Makes no sense in the world of electronics. The list goes on. Again, votedanbrady.com for more of my ideas and the ideas from you, ladies and gentlemen. I get a lot of ideas, and I get a lot of stories. But let me just say that in closing, because I want to keep it short. Dan told me I had 5 minutes. Let me just say in closing that if you don't remember anything I said this morning, hopefully you will say, well, he was the shortest speaker, so he has to know something about short lines. So that's what I'm going to do. And always don't forget this. As President Ronald Reagan once said, if we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we'll be a nation gone under. And I know you're not going to let that happen, and we're not going to let that happen in Illinois and across this country. Thank you for all you do. I ask for your vote, and please sign my petitions, and thank you for the petition. Thanks for being with us. Thank you.
This month, we're fortunate to have, I think, the person who entered the race first, and a person who is a state senator from far, far southern Illinois. He's taken a long drive up there. I think it's about 6 hours or so. But he's been one of the first to really stand up and fight against Governor Pritzker and his mask mandates and all this stuff. More than a year ago, he filed a successful lawsuit. He's really shown himself to be a leader. And so now he wants to be the leader of the state. So he's here to talk to us about that. I give you Darren Bailey. And Darren, we have 200 signatures for you. Here you go.
Well, I've been instructed that there's a microphone here, but can you hear me okay? If you cannot hear me, I will use the microphone. Are we good? All right. God bless you on a Saturday morning for coming out on such a cold day when indeed you could have been somewhere else. This is what has to happen all the way to November of 22. And then the work just starts. Then we bind together and we get Illinois back on track and fixed. So, Mr. and Mrs. Brett, I am so excited to hear your story because I wouldn't be here, and I encourage many people, if your spouse isn't on board, then don't be doing it. So I'm just like you. I remember when I got a little too noisy in 2017 when Illinois had a 32% gas or a 32% tax increase, and I started railing against that, and unfortunately people heard me. And they began to come and say, maybe you should represent us. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's politics. Politicians lie, they cheat, they steal. I don't want to be a part of that. But anyway, Cindy realized that this was our mission, and she's the one that propped me up and encouraged me to do this. And I remember we sat down with our children, and because they had to realize, especially our two sons and their wives, what the responsibility, the increased responsibilities on the farm were going to be, and we sat down and we set aside a time of prayer and fasting, and after the time, and I remember the whole time, I call it the Jonah syndrome because I knew that this was where we needed to be headed, but I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in my safe zone in southeast Illinois. But I remember once the time was over with and we realized that this was it, I stood up and I boldly proclaimed to my family, okay, I'll do it, but I'm not knocking on any doors and I'm not walking any parades. I'm just going to get elected and go do it. Well, the very first parade that we were in, they were all like, I'm thinking you're liking this, because I was running over to people and I love the people. God's did something pretty amazing. It's all about people, friends. So God bless you for being here and showing up today. So Darren Bailey, my wife Cindy, we do indeed come to you from about 4 hours south. Has anybody ever been to Effingham, Illinois before? All right, you know where Effingham's at. Bless you. You get on Route 45 and go another 30 minutes south and you'll come to a little town called Louisville, spelt like Louisville, Kentucky, except we pronounce it correctly. That's where I've been born and raised all of my life. So, no, life's pretty simple down there. It is indeed a lot different than it is up here. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to make a confession. The people in my part of the world, they didn't, I can't wait to share the pictures here because they don't think there's this many Republicans in Cook County, period. I'm a farmer. Farmed all of my life. I've been blessed to be married to Cindy for 35 years. We're high school sweethearts. We met our freshman year in high school, and we dated all through high school, 2 years of junior college, got married and started a family. We have 4 children. We have 11 grandchildren. Our 3 sons work on the farm, Bailey Family Farm. It's an LLC partnership. We farm 12,000 acres. We have a trucking company and an excavating business. We stay busy. I served for 17 years on the North Clay School Board, North Clay Unit 25, and yes, we still have seniors in their homes. I did not tax out all the seniors out of their homes like what you're hearing. So, anybody, do we have any school board members here today? All right, God bless you. Go talk to a school board member and go talk to your superintendent and you'll find out there's absolutely no way, it is absolutely impossible by working with levies to increase taxes to the point that they're saying. So, and with that being said, be ready in 2023 to run for school board and get your school boards back under control. Please, you must do that. Served for 17 years. You can look us up. We were one of the first schools that in the state of Illinois that opened our books up to the public, made everything transparent, because at the time the law said that if you have a website, you had to have your books 100% transparent on there, and no one was doing that. We did that. We were the first school in the state of Illinois to adopt a drug policy for our students, and at the time we just thought it was the right thing to do, and I can tell you that within weeks we were flabbergasted at the results of some of the test results that were coming in. So, and when we began to get students and families help. I got off the school board. We had an amazing school board. God opened another door for Cindy and I to start a homeschool co-op. Cindy spent most of, she went to a community college to be a dental hygienist and did that for a few years, but then her mom had a flower shop, so she purchased it. So her and my mother together had a flower shop and a gift store for many years. So at 2012, when I got off the school board, God began to open a door for us to start a homeschool co-op. And we petitioned part of the flower shop off, and we started with our son because he just simply wanted to, in 8th grade, he wanted to get his schoolwork done in the morning, and he wanted to come to the farm and work in the afternoon. So that was kind of a rough, after helping build up such an amazing public school in North Clay, for him to want to do that. It kind of baffled us, but we believe when opportunity presents itself, you pray about it, you consider about it, and then you either move or you move it aside, and we moved on it. And that today has turned into Full Armor Christian Academy, almost 360 students in 2 locations, preschool through high school. And I will tell you this, the students of Full Armor Christian Academy have never been mask mandated, so it can happen. So anyway, got a little noisy. That's our past. Cindy, sometimes she might want to kind of redirect me if I need to mention something else. But ran for state representative in the 109th district, running a race much like I'm running against the governor today. Had a well-known, well-liked, established incumbent that we had helped get elected many years earlier, and he just simply wandered off the reservation. And listen, I take responsibility for that. Matter of fact, when I called him up and told him I was going to be primarying him, I apologized because I said I should have been there to encourage you over the last 14 years for what you was doing right. I should have been there to hold you accountable when I saw you wander off. But far too often, whether it's aldermen, whether it's school board members, whether it's city council, whatever, we let people come up here and offer grand speeches and tell us what they're going to do. We elect them, we pat them on the back, and we send them off to wherever and say, go get them. And then many times, we wake up a few years later and we wonder what in the world happened because we weren't there to hold them accountable. So friends, maybe you do this, and God bless you if you do, but make it a habit to get to know your elected officials. Develop a relationship with them. Stay in contact with them. Hold them accountable and encourage them when they need it. So, friends, we are void of Republican leadership. The party of Lincoln has the ideas. We've got the solutions. We have a platform. We need to stick with our platform. Our platform offers hope. Our platform offers prosperity. Our platform offers life. But when we go to Springfield, when we go to Washington, when we go to City Hall and we let it be muddled down and watered down, compromise loses everything. We simply need leadership. And if we have the opportunity to have the position of leadership, it has to be done right. I believe there's one worse alternative than electing Governor Pritzker for 4 more years. I think that's electing the wrong Republican. Because we simply, this is it. This is it. It's all or nothing. And to the point of Mr. Brett, yes, we always hear that this election is the most important because quite honestly it is. Because our values and our freedoms are on the chopping block and they keep increasing every year. This is it for Illinois. As goes Illinois in 2022, so will go our nation in 2024. We have the wonderful opportunity to be the beacon for this country. We can do it right here. Illinois is an amazing state, friends. We've got a beautiful, amazing city in Chicago. We've got amazing farm ground. We've got more natural resources than any state in the nation. Over half of the oil that is produced in the state of Illinois is produced in my district. You know, we've got coal that can be cleaned up and worked with, but instead all of our resources are being pushed out of the way. We simply need someone to stand up and fight for what's right, and that's what I've been doing since day one. I simply got elected as state representative, and I've term limited myself for 10 years. I don't participate in the state legislative pension. I thought I was just going to serve, do my part. I wasn't able to serve in the military. God bless every one of our military veterans here. But I thought, who we got here that's our veterans? God bless. Wow. Per capita, that's an amazing amount today, so God bless you. And I just simply wanted to do my role, my duty, step off of my selfishness of being on the farm and with my family and expose myself and to serve and to try to make a difference. Well, in 2019, when I was elected, came in with Governor Pritzker. I also came in the first time in Illinois history with a super minority in the House and in the Senate. And do you understand what the super minority means? That means that we don't even have to show up for business to be conducted in the State House, friends. All these, you're frustrated at Republican leaders because they're not getting bills through, or they're not getting, because they can't. They can't. Matter of fact, last year during the energy bill and during the much of the law enforcement nonsense, the Democrats said, you want to work with us? They support our bills. That's how you work with us. They said that. That's the kind of thing that we're up against. That's why it is now or never, do or die. We have got to stand up and get to work and take this back. So during my tenure, 2 years, 1 term as state rep, my state senator stepped down. I actively sought a replacement for him. I thought, hey, I'll get somebody in here that work closely with me. Again, the people of our area came to us and said, run for our Senate. Our office literally does more than any other state office in the state. We were literally just highlighted recently with over 1,100 cases in my Senate office just during the year of 2021. And these are cases that literally got results, got finished, let alone the calls that they take every day. So people said, be our senator. You know, we love how you're representative. So we did. We ran. Again, the establishment to put someone up against us. The first state rep race, I won by 60%. The Senate race, when the establishment put someone up against me, we won by 86%. So the people in Southeast Illinois are starting to kind of understand what's going on, what needs to change, and what we can offer. You may or may not remember that in the May of 2020, after our 2 weeks to flatten the curve, I sued the governor. Matter of fact, so it's all about people. And I'm going to give two quick shout-outs. Jose Durbin back in the back there by the door. He is an amazing young man. He is my now campaign manager. At the time, he was my legislative assistant. We're driving around our district delivering PPE supplies to prisons, to sheriff's department, to health departments, because everybody's being told what they must do, but they have nothing. I went around to several farm supplies. I've worn these N95 masks all my life in the grain bin, cleaning them out. So we were garnering up donations for masks and gloves. We have a hand sanitizer, a producer in our district. They gave us several gallons of that, and we'd fill them up with in small bottles and distribute them. And we're just driving around heading to one of the area prisons, and we're just like, what in the, this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like freedom. What is going on, and when it's going to end? Because by this time, the 2 weeks to flatten the curve had turned into about 6 and 8 weeks. Well, Jose sat up in his seat and he said, we need to sue the governor. I said, well, I'm a farmer, and that lawsuit word kind of resonates like politician. I've never sued anyone, and I've never been sued. But we started kind of researching it and praying about it, and we realized a lawsuit is simply a legal question to the proper authorities, the judicial branch, to get an answer. So, kind of like clockwork, within a week, I had found Tom DeVore. We wrote the papers up, and literally to the day that everything was finished, Governor Pritzker put out his 3rd, 4th, 5th executive order, whatever it was, and we filed suit against him. 2 days later, I think May 20th, May 23rd, my case was heard. Much like Judge Grishow's decision, that's the geniusness of Tom DeVore, he asked for a TRO. This was a pre-hearing. I was granted a TRO against the governor's lockdown orders. So sometimes when the governor says, or you have heard that this lawsuit just applies to me, it just applied to Clay County, no, that's not true. It applied to the entire state. Governor Pritzker spent the next 3 months trying to find a more liberal court to hold this case in for the full hearing. He failed, and on July 2nd of 2020, the case was heard in Clay County, and the judge ruled that Governor Pritzker was illegal and unconstitutional in his actions, and that case has never been overturned and it's never been dismissed. So you ask yourself, well, it sure doesn't feel like it up here. No, it doesn't, because we, the people, aren't standing for our freedoms. We're not standing for our freedoms. And I know, friends, it's getting harder and it's getting tougher, but under a Republican governor, strong leader, we can take that back and empower the people and make sure this never, ever, ever happens again. So, here we are. You've got a choice to make. You've got to figure out who you're going to support. We've got several conservatives. We got 2 known Democrats running in the Republican Party. I have no qualms about that. Please do your research. Follow the money. If we are going to get Illinois turned around, I can tell you what we can't do. We can't do the same thing we've been doing, friends. I typically, for Illinois Family Institute, we typically carry a little brochure that can even go in churches. It's a brochure explaining the platforms. And it's not political. It simply tells what the Republican platform is, and it simply tells what the Democrat platform is. So number one, anyone who would read that and go out and vote for someone running on the Democrat ticket, God help us. That's why we're in the shape that we're in. Number two, anyone who calls themselves a Republican and says they're standing on this, but yet fails to adhere to the values, well then God help us, because that's why we're in the shape that we're in Illinois. Friends, it is time to understand the values of the party of Lincoln and stand boldly on those. And it's time to start getting behind someone who has at least offered you some kind of proof that they'll stand against this stuff. So I went to the Republican leadership on this lawsuit trying to give it to the party. We won on July 2nd. I made 3 phone calls to Republican leaders in the state of Illinois. I said, we won. Take it as a message. Take it as a Republican message. Nothing. I was the only one to stand up and be removed in a month after the lawsuit. When $152,000 of your money was spent for a week renting out the Bank of Springfield Center so that our desks could be placed 12 feet apart. 12 feet apart. Representative, now Speaker Welch, called me out before session even started. He said, Representative Bailey, you need to put your mask on. And I stood up and said, well, I'm looking around here and about half the people Mike Madigan himself I didn't mention his name, but I have pictures. He didn't even have his mask on. I said, here's the deal. My desk's 12 foot apart. I've stepped it off and measured it. And CDC's been telling us 6 foot's enough, and as a matter of fact, 3 foot, they were considering it then. I said, here's the deal. It's okay. If I have to get up and go to the restroom, get something to eat, if someone comes to my desk, I'll put the mask on. It's no problem. But I'm not going to sit here for 20 hours with this nonsense. Well, that wasn't good enough. They went ahead and changed the rules. They changed the rules because they can. That was a party line vote. And then again, I was asked if I would comply, and I very happily said absolutely not. Well, then they took another vote to remove me. And at that point in time, 8 Republicans sided in on that vote. Now listen, I don't fault anyone. Everybody tells me I'm too forgiving because I don't remember. I can't even remember who those people were now. It doesn't matter. But you have to know this. When you to file suit against a governor, when we're being told that any day millions of people are going to fall over dead, and I'm serious about this, the weight of going to bed that night and praying with Cindy that are we doing the right thing? The weight of getting dismissed out of session. You know, am I going to be the biggest fool on the face of this earth, the next day? I don't know. But I feel like I'm doing the right thing. And I in no way, shape, or form want to say and prop myself up to this level, but I want to think back to 250 years earlier to a small percentage of people that stood up against the greatest army on the face of this earth. They were doing the right thing. They were standing for freedom. And do we remember what freedom looks like? And if we do, friends, we have got to stand up and take it back because we're losing it. And we will lose it in November of 22 if we don't elect the right person. So, constitutional, progressive, fair tax amendment. Governor Pritzker spent $55 million trying to get that message out. It should have passed. It was a wonderful message, wasn't it? Tax the rich and lower the rich for the poor. It's a great message. It's a wonderful socialist message. That should have passed by all practical means, but it needed 60% of the people to approve it to pass. You realize that almost the exact opposite happened, right? 56% of the people in the state of Illinois said no. Now, that's a Republican landslide victory, period. Let's back up a little bit. There's 118 state representative seats in the state. Almost 73 of those districts, by majority, voted that amendment down. But we only elected 45 Republicans, to your point again. Go back, look that stuff up, and look up those other districts that won that they didn't have a Republican running for office. Shame on us, friends. We can't let this happen. And finally, are you worried about voter integrity? Yeah. Voter fraud? Because you should be. And I want to make sure that you understand for the last 3 years that I've served, last year in the Senate and 2 years before in the House, and the Democrats stand up on their side of the aisle when we're trying to pass voter ID and election integrity bills. And they say this. They are on record. It's cheating. There's always been cheating. So what? Get over it. Get out and vote, do your duty, and move on. Election judges and poll watchers. How many of you do we have in here?
Great.
Okay. It's about the same, maybe less as we had veterans. Friends, listen, if you are not running for an office, you need to sign up to be an election judge or a poll watcher. Here in Cook County, Will, DuPage, many times Republicans aren't showing up to those positions. And by law, there has to be a Republican and there has to be a Democrat. Okay? When a Republican doesn't show up, the sitting bench judge assigns someone. What do you think the sitting bench judge, who do you think that he's going to assign, okay? And then they go home, and Illinois Conservative Union, Freedom Works, they're coming around. Has anybody been to any of their training yet? Okay. They're coming around, they're going to be putting multiple seminars on all the way through November, and they're going to train us what to look out for and what to do when we see or suspect fraud. The Illinois Republican Party has promised to pay for election judges to be available so that when these problems happen, we are dealing with them immediately instead of still talking about it a year and a half, 2 years later. So friends, we have a lot of promise ahead of us, but only if we get together and work. We look at the state of Virginia, 96+% of their precincts were filled with Republican poll watchers and election judges. And almost every electable position was filled by true conservatives. So I offer this to you today. I am humbled and honored that you are here. Thank you so much for the time and the sacrifice of collecting these signatures. God bless you guys. I thought, that's not my position. So, at this point in time, we'll take 3 questions. Is that fair, or do you want to?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Anything, and here's the deal with me, nothing's off the table for me. I'll talk about anything, yes.
The Second Amendment has been under assault in Illinois for many years. What's your stance?
My stand, Second Amendment. Well, sometimes I get pretty fiery and passionate, and sometimes I say things, and my campaign staff is like, "What'd you say that for?" And I was being interviewed, a month ago, and I got pretty passionate about it, and I'm now quoted as, "I will die on my front porch step before I ever surrender anything. That FOID card is unconstitutional. It's illegal." Here's the deal. And so as a state, as a state representative and now senator, our office is very busy. And it's been very busy with a FOID card renewals. So here in Illinois, if you renew your FOID card, you're supposed to have it in 60 days. I got a little piece of paper. God bless the Illinois State Police. The state police in and of themselves are working hard. Brandon Kelly, the director, he's a pawn of Governor Pritzker, so he's going to do whatever he's being told. But I was told that this is all caught up. Well, it's interesting because my office is still flooded with phone calls of people waiting even up to 2 years. So Illinois law says you renew your FOID card, you print out a piece of paper, and as long as you're not denied, that paper serves as your FOID card. Well, has anyone here tried to go buy at least a box of ammo with that piece of paper? It's not going to happen. But guess what? If you stand there long enough, someone from Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, they're going to come and they're going to buy that box of ammo. And you know what they have to do? All they have to do is plop their driver's license down. Friends, something is wrong. The federal firearm background check is all we need. We need nothing on top of that. We don't need an additional card. And I'm going to tell you something. Under the proper leadership, I believe we can get rid of it. There's a lot of Democrats on the other side of the aisle that's, won't. Under the right leadership, we can get rid of it. So yes.
Mr. Phelps.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
All of Cook County and the suburbs need to hear your message. When are you moving up to?
Thank you. Well, so thank you. Oh, yeah. When are we? How and when are we going to get into Chicago? Follow us on BaileyForIllinois.com. That's our website. You can kind of trail through our Facebook page. Darren Bailey for Governor on Facebook. Friends, there is no one, you will not even hear anyone remotely say that their team and us are remotely working anywhere close to us. We are all over the state. We're everywhere. We've actually been in Chicago a lot, and we know. So we have an apartment. Cindy and I have an apartment in North Aurora. We believe that that's got us within 40 minutes of the other half of the state. That's why we picked it. And so we are in several weeks ago, we were met with 50 Hispanic pastors in the South Side. They're on board, working hard. We've worked with Dr. Willie Wilson. Dr. Willie Wilson brought over 300 pastors to Decatur a couple weeks ago. I was the only gubernatorial candidate invited to meet and speak with them. And you may remember a couple months ago, I spent the night on the rooftop with Pastor Corey Brooks. And if you, well, let me tell you, if you're not aware of that, at 2 a.m. in the morning, a block away, there was a shooting and a killing. So yeah, that was pretty humbling for me. And we were able to get up the next morning, and I went to Pastor Corey, and he knew what was going on, and we did a press conference. They built a podium down on the ground, brought her up, and had news come in. It was pretty awesome. So no, to your point, we will probably be living here after the primary, because you're exactly right. It's a little more, down in our area, it's easy to reach and get to the people. Here, obviously, it's different, and we know that there is a message to be gotten out, and we are working diligently hard to make that happen. Thank you. One more. Okay, yeah. Beth Dell, good grief. Beth, are you here by yourself? Beth is our Cook County coordinator. She is amazing. So if you would, if you want to, go to baileyforillinois.com, click on volunteer. You'll put your information down there, and then our coordinators will get in touch with you based on, you know, where you're at. So every Sunday we are in a church somewhere in Illinois. Many Sundays we have been in many churches in downtown in Chicago, the south, the west side, and I can tell you they let us speak because they know our message and they know what we're about. Stephanie Trussell, my lieutenant governor pick, grew up on, yeah, thank you. She's rock solid. Many times when you pick your lieutenant governor, the people come and they want you to pick somebody that leans a little bit left of you so you can capture more people. Friend Cindy and I will never compromise our value. Stephanie Trussell is rock solid. She grew up on the west side of Chicago. She knows the Chicago story. And as she began to have children, they moved into DuPage County to rescue her children from the failing Chicago public schools. So, one more question, and then we are going to, we will be set right up here and answer questions. You've had your hand up first.
What's your view on Illinois as a sanctuary state?
Illinois is a sanctuary state. There should never be such thing. I want to remind you, the city of Aurora was one of the first sanctuary cities. Don't ever forget that. You kind of see where I'm going there? You need to know that. No, there should be no mandates. There should be no police, ICE. They should have people, and people are getting that. Chicago is getting that. People are scared to death. They want to be protected. People will not open business here in Illinois, especially in downtown. When we go to the South Side churches, when people are lined up and they tell us that, you know, we got to get on a train and a bus to go 10, 15 minutes down the street to go to a pharmacy, to go to a grocery store because there's the burned out one there and nobody will come. No, they won't, because they're not protected. Our police have their hands cuffed. This nonsense must end. We must vet people that come in. We must help them become citizens the proper way. I'm absolutely for that. This country offers amazing opportunities. No more mandates ever. That's what my lawsuit was about. And since then, I've been talking to school boards, business owners, churches. Stand up. This governor has no enforcement mechanisms to any of his orders. So, friends, we're not going to go anywhere until we've answered every question. We'll be up here. God bless you. Thank you so much.